In 2005, a man in Tokyo spent $733,000 on a video game. Not a console, not a collection. One disc. He set up a camera to film the first time he ever played it. 2 minutes later, he was crying. He never said why. And then the footage disappeared. And so, eventually, did he. This is Killswitch, a game that's built to erase itself the moment you finish it. No copies, no backups, no second chances. For anyone, ever again. For almost 2 decades, people have tried to prove this is real. I just spent a week in the worst corners of the internet doing exactly that. And what's underneath this story is weirder than the legend itself. Here's the legend, exactly as it's been passed around for almost 20 years. 1989. A studio nobody can verify called Karvina Corporation, supposedly out of Czechoslovakia, though half the people retelling this story swear it's Russian, which tells you everything about how reliable any of this is. The game is called Killswitch. You play one of 2 characters, Porto, a woman trapped in a haunted coal mine, or Gast, an invisible demon haunting the same mine. Here's the catch. If you finish the game as Porto, the game deletes itself, completely, off the disc. The legend says it literally cannot be copied, not by burning it, not by any method anyone's ever found. Only 5,000 copies were ever made, and every single person who's ever beaten it has lost their copy forever. On purpose, by design. So naturally, the internet went and tried to buy one anyway. In 2005, a sealed, unopened copy supposedly surfaced at auction. Final price, $733,000. The buyer, a man named Yamamoto Ryuichi, based in Tokyo, did the only thing you do after spending that much money on a video game. He filmed himself opening it. The clip that allegedly leaked online was under 2 minutes long. It didn't show gameplay. It showed him at the character select screen, Porto or Gast, and it showed him crying, before he'd even picked. Then the video vanished from wherever it had been posted. Nobody has a verified copy of that footage today, not a frame. And this is where it should have died. A story with no proof, no footage, no game. End of legend. Except the internet doesn't let go of things that easily. For almost 20 years, people have built an entire fake paper trail trying to make this real. Someone going by Porto881 claims to have solved the game's hardest puzzle and posted the walkthrough to old Columbia University message boards. There's a YouTube channel, still active right now, called Karvina Corp, branding itself as a video game studio founded in 1989. People circulated a file online for years called Killswitch.zip. When it was finally taken apart, it wasn't the game. It was a fake installer rigged to throw a bogus error message. There has never been a single playable copy of this game found anywhere, ever, except one. Someone built their own fan-made recreation from scratch and uploaded it to the Internet Archive, complete with fake 1989 box art, just so the legend would have something real attached to it. And on Steam's forums right now, there are people still role-playing this. They'll tell you asking too many questions about Killswitch leads to places you don't want to enter. They'll tell you the last surviving copies are locked away in something called Unit 753, a 16-year-old internet rumor, and people are still building lore for it like it's an open case. Here's the part almost every video about this skips. Killswitch isn't an urban legend that escaped into fiction. It's fiction that escaped into being treated like an urban legend. The entire story traces back to one person, Catherynne M. Valente, a real published, award-nominated science fiction and fantasy author. In 2007, she quietly ran a short-lived fiction blog called Invisible Games. Killswitch was one story on it. 6 years later, she folded it into an actual short story collection, The Melancholy of Mecha Girl, under her own name. She never hid that she wrote it. She just never corrected anyone who decided to believe it was real. And here's the detail that should tell you how deep this rabbit hole actually goes. Even the articles trying to debunk Killswitch can't agree on the timeline. Some say it started with the 2007 blog post. Others insist it started with the 2013 book. There's a mystery embedded inside the explanation of the mystery. So that should be the end of it, right? Solved. Fiction. Case closed. Except I went and found the blog this thing actually came from, and it's worse than Killswitch. Invisible Games ran for exactly 3 months, October to December 2007. Every post was written by an in-universe narrator who calls herself the archivist. We don't know anything else about her. Not a name, not a face, nothing. The blog doesn't start as horror. It opens with 2 soft, almost hopeful stories about imaginary inventions. The Bright Shop devices and the Loneliness engine. Then, without warning, it swerves directly into Killswitch. The tone shift is deliberate and it's jarring on purpose. But Killswitch isn't even the only self-destructing game on this blog. There's another story in the Terre arcade about a Finnish arcade that accepts exactly 1 coin. That coin travels physically through every machine in the building, in sequence. Once someone beats the final game, the coin itself is destroyed. 1 playthrough, ever. For the whole arcade, forever. Across multiple stories on this blog, a shadow company called Valente keeps reappearing, like the archivist was quietly building toward one connected universe she never got to finish telling. And then the blog just stops. The second to last post isn't missing by accident. It's not there at all. In its place, an access denied message, nothing else. The final post switches the narrator into first person. The archivist talking directly about searching for one last game. A game that only the dying are allowed to play. And that's it. That's where it ends. 2007. No resolution. No sequel. Someone even tried adapting Killswitch into a YouTube series years later, planning to make Valente the villain. And abandoned that too. An abandoned adaptation of an abandoned blog about a game designed to abandon you the second you finish it. Here's the part that stopped being fun to research. Real security researchers have documented actual malware, right now, disguised as game installers, dressed up to look exactly like legitimate setup files with the malicious code hidden inside data that looks completely normal. And it has a self-destruct switch. Before it does anything else, it checks one thing. Is it being watched? Is it running inside a sandbox? Or being monitored by analysis tools? If the answer is yes, it shuts itself down immediately, on purpose, to make sure nobody can catch it in the act. Only once it's confident nobody's watching does it actually activate and start quietly pulling your machine ID, your username, your OS details, your hardware fingerprint. And the way most people actually get infected with this? Pirated and cracked game installers. Go look. There are people in gaming forums right now discovering Trojans hidden inside cracks for everything from tiny puzzle games to massive titles. Sit with that for a second. The legend imagines a game that erases itself to protect something perfect. One unrepeatable experience, gone forever by design. The real version erases itself for the opposite reason. It disappears to make sure you can never prove it was there at all. So, did Yamamoto Ryuichi ever explain why he was crying before he'd even picked a character? No, he never did. There's no verified footage left to ask. And maybe that's actually the point of all of it. Nobody needed Killswitch to be real. They needed it to be possible. One perfect, unrepeatable experience that disappears the moment you finish it and means something specifically because you can never have it back. That's not really a story about a haunted coal mine. That's a story about every ending you can't undo. People are still trying to build the real thing, by the way. Actual indie developers, right now, making tiny games designed to permanently delete themselves the moment you lose. Half broken, barely played, trying to make the myth literally true. That's a whole video on its own. If you want it, you know what to do.